Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been on an Asia trip all week. It's seen as a diplomatic pivot, a way for the prince to prove that life goes on even after Western countries started shunning him following the murder of writer Jamal Khashoggi last year. His first stop had been to Pakistan, a country Saudi Arabia has a close relationship with and where he pledged to invest almost 18 billion euros. He visited India next, where he announced his country is ready to share intelligence with New Delhi in the fight against terrorism. He stopped short of making direct reference to last week's terror attack in Kashmir. He has had a fine line to walk between Pakistan and India. And now bin Salman's on the final stop of his trip, China, where he signed a deal to build an oil refinery. Saudi Arabia is one of China's top crude oil suppliers, second only to Russia. Now, the House of Saud has long presented itself as the defender of Muslims around the world, given that Islam's two holiest sites, Medina and Mecca, are there. But during this visit, bin Salman has not said a public word so far about China's internment of as many as 1 million Uyghurs, a Turkic Muslim minority living primarily in the country's far west. It is one of the most serious violations of human rights happening in the world today. Joining me now to talk more about this is Isaac Stone Fish, Senior Fellow at the Asia Society. Now, Isaac, you wrote a really interesting Washington Post column about this, about bin Salman having an opportunity, but also writing at the same time that he probably won't be taking the opportunity. So this is really a economic trip more than anything, a diplomatic trip more than anything?
That's right. I think we can be idealistic and hopeful that someone like MBS would bring up the treatment of the Uyghurs, but know that on such a trip, which is dominated by realpolitik and MBS's desire to have a better relationship with China, most specifically on issues involving trade and on trying to find a way to somehow wean his country off a reliance on oil as opposed to having anything that would come across as involving the situation in Xinjiang or anything about human rights in general.
Let's talk a little bit more about the situation in Xinjiang for those people who don't know much about it. Could you briefly just explain what is going on?
So Xinjiang is a region in far northwest China where an estimated 1 million Muslims are in concentration camps. The Chinese government doesn't call them concentration camps. It talks about them as re-education centers for radicals that need to learn how to operate in the modern world. But actually, it really is a massive atrocity where people are, frankly, in camps. I mean, they're concentration camps. And for the Uyghurs who are not in camps, there's a really dystopian surveillance system. People's phones are monitored, their movements are monitored, and there's also a strong push to de-Islamize or Sinicize the Islam that Muslims practice in northwest China. So trying to move people away from prayers and fasting and abstaining from pork and alcohol and trying to make them more Chinese.
This is really, frankly, should be an outrage at the international level. Bin Salman won't be talking about it. Has other countries in Asia, other Muslim countries talked about this at all?
So MBS has good company in ignoring the plight of the Uyghurs. So Indonesia's Widodo has not said anything. A prominent Malaysian politician very vaguely brought it up, Anwar Ibrahim, but he didn't really say anything. I think Pakistan's religious minister has said something, but Imran Khan, the prime minister, has certainly been silent about this. So Turkey is really the only country that has said anything of significance. The foreign ministry spokesperson decried the crimes being committed there, but this is also a step down from what Erdogan said in 2009, where he called it genocide. And since then, and since China has become a more and more important political and economic partner for countries around the world, Erdogan has decided to remain mostly silent.
Isaac Stonefish, thank you so much for your time.